Proverbs, continuing on from previous live videos. The Proverbs of Solomon: a wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivereth from death. The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casteth away the substance of the wicked. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. He that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. He that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. In the lips of him that hath understanding wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, the destruction of the poor is their poverty. The labour of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth. So he that refuses to be corrected errs. He makes a mistake by so doing. It's interesting how wisdom will lead you to sorts of riches which may not necessarily be monetary. They may not be of riches in the sense of, great jewels or livestock or household or palace or, homestead. But you might have other forms of riches, other forms of wealth. And the enemy will try to destroy them on you. But he can't completely destroy them. He just tries to reduce your enjoyment of them. However, there are types of riches that aren't dependent upon money. And it's true that you don't necessarily need something to give something. It is better to give to somebody in need of the basic things of living, like food and shelter. You need money. But there are other things you can give. You can give gifts of company, of love, of embrace, of advice, of a listening ear, of gifts of crafts of your hands, of your labour to help somebody in the homestead. There are many ways that you can give. Jesus said, freely you have received, therefore freely give. So if we practice this, this is wealth to our household. It's wealth to our souls. And riches will be eventually seen for that. The labour of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth. He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver, the heart of the wicked is little worth. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. The blessing of the Lord is, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. It is as sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom. Fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. As the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. As vinegar to the teeth and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. The fear of the Lord prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. The hope of the righteous, shall be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked shall perish. The way of the Lord is strength to the upright, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of the just bringeth forth wisdom, but the froward tongue shall be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked speaketh frowardness. A false balance, chapter 11, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. The lowly, the humble, the meek. The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his way, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors shall be taken in their own naughtiness. When a wicked man dieth, his expectation shall perish, and the hope of unjust men perisheth. The righteous is delivered out of trouble, and the wicked cometh in his stead. An hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbour, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. When it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth, and when the wicked perish, there is shouting. By the blessing of the upright the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. He that is void of wisdom despiseth his neighbour, but a man of understanding holdeth his peace. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counsellors there is safety. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure. Suretyship is sure. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, hurt for it. And he that hateth suretyship is sure. A gracious woman retaineth honour, and strong men retain riches. The merciful man doeth good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubleth his own flesh. The wicked worketh a deceitful work, but to him that soweth righteousness shall be a sure reward. As righteousness tendeth to life, so he that pursueth evil pursueth it to his own death. They that are of a froward heart are abomination to the Lord, but such as are upright in their way are his delight. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. There is that scatters, and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. It's like there is that scattereth and yet increaseth. So it's like there is There is wise distribution and there is unwise gathering or accumulating or storing. So it's like talking about the miser or the greedy who retains to the point of decrease. It's like the story in the Bible that talks about the master that gave his servants money, and one just buried it and it didn't increase, but the others put it into the bank and the interest sort of increased it. Well, it's the same sort of principle. You know, it's like investing something in a way that increases it, or holding it to the point of atrophy of systems that need that sort of investment and that throughput of sort of liveliness, or the investment of money to sustain activity within industry, within society. And so it's like life, it's like the lifeblood of the industry and of the economy is the proper distribution and continuous distribution of money and input, whereas a government that sort of greedily retains money, even taxpayers' money, and doesn't put it into the growth of the nation and of the infrastructure they intend to destroy it and atrophy it to the point of enslaving it. And that's what we're now seeing in Ireland, actually, largely, is we're seeing the government paying farmers not to farm. It's very evil, because they're actually doing the opposite of what we pay them to do. They're actually paying for the destruction of our country. We are, by paying tax to the government, and then they pay that money to the farmers not to farm. I mean, it's totally counterintuitive. It goes against any business lesson you'll ever get. And these people are getting paid top dollar to wreck our country, you know. So that's sort of on that subject there. It's just stated with words we're not really used to hearing on a daily basis. There is that scattereth, that places about, and yet increases. It increases even though you scatter that money around. It increases because of its placement, its wise placement. And it's giving life to something that later increases and grows and prospers. And there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. So withholding more than you should be, than is meet, than is appropriate. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. He that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. He that diligently seeketh good procureth favour, but he that seeketh mischief, it shall come up unto him. Seek and you shall find. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. Why would the fool end up servant to the wise of heart? Because the fool, by way of his failure to get wisdom, has placed himself at lower rank, outside of the helm of the structures which rule, and has become part of the vehicle rather than part of the rulership or leadership, because he has sort of placed himself outside of it for his lack of wisdom or lack of seeking it. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. That's why the Bible says, get wisdom, get understanding, seek it, go and get it. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. That's why I'm reading from Proverbs to give you some wisdom and to unpack it. It's not my wisdom, but it's God's wisdom. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. So it becomes my wisdom. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. Behold, the righteous shall be recompensed in the earth, much more the wicked and the sinner. So you reap what you sow. I'll read one more chapter. Whoso loveth, chapter 12 of the book of Proverbs, whoso loveth instruction, loveth knowledge. But he that hateth reproof is brutish. Like somebody who refuses to be corrected on a matter, somebody who refuses to be reproved is brutish, as in heavy-handed and lacking a delicate touch, lacking that seeking of improvement, is brutish. It's like stomping around the place without care, because you're not careful of where you set your foot. A good man obtaineth favour of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A good man obtaineth favour of the Lord. But we're born into societies which the devil has infiltrated at governmental level and at the level of education and culture. And so he has tried to popularise anti-wisdom. For example, it's seen as a weakness of a man almost to seek the knowledge of other men, or to be corrected by other men. And when you think about this, this actually is advantageous to those who have wisdom, who only use wisdom for their own personal selfish gain, because they would want to deny others that wisdom so that they can have a relative advantage. So if they can make that disadvantage emotional, behavioural and cultural, then they can sit at the top or the helm of that culture by way of a relative advantage, not because they're the best suited, but because they have relative wisdom or relative knowledge by seeking it, at least in the literature, so that they would have a relative economic and privileged position, because they know that if they seek wisdom, they'll be at level of rulership, and the one who lacks wisdom will be at the level of servant. So Satan has popularized ignorance so that he can set at rulership level those who he would impart wisdom to, or who have just sought it and got it. So he'll headhunt people who he has seen have sought out wisdom, have some form, and he'll place them at leadership level, and then he'll start to manipulate them and get them to neglect what they should be doing to benefit the others. So he creates these societies within societies, secret societies like Freemasonry and things like that, witchcraft covens. So whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. A good man obtaineth favour of the Lord. So the point I was making there, I kind of digressed a little bit. They've popularized that a man who would seek the wisdom or the correction of another man has in some way, by submitting to the other man's better knowledge on the matter or better wisdom on the matter, emasculated himself by simply listening to another, by being told by another man. And women are led in a way to favour the man who is the one telling and not the man who is the one listening, as though the man who is the one listening, by way of his listening, is the man of lesser wisdom or lesser knowledge, which isn't the case. Because a wise man loves correction, but he'll listen to all. Doesn't mean he's necessarily taken it on board. But you see, it sort of feeds the ego. It's kind of a conceit thing, you know. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. Don't get too cocky now with me. but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. Think about these again. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. It's like a woman who is beautiful and she knows she is beautiful and attractive. She would even tone down her beauty to dignify her husband, so that she's not drawing the attention of other men. She knows she's beautiful, so she might even, tone down her beauty, not accentuate it in any way, and to cover up more, because she knows she might have a very beautiful physical body, beautiful looking physically, very well endowed physically, very beautiful, voluptuous, curvaceous, and so covers up to dignify her husband and to preserve and protect other men around her. And not doing a Jessica Rabbit on it. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. It's strong, isn't it? Rottenness. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand, and are not, as in they cease to be. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoureth himself and lacketh bread. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desireth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame, even the shame of others. He that speaketh truth sheweth forth righteousness. So there's a line there. Interesting that would come secondly. To a fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. You see, sometimes it's good to cover, other times it's good to expose. It's good to expose when corruption is leading to the harm of many, to the harm of the nation. But it's good to cover in the individual case where somebody's ill fate or sin or whatever mistake they've made has led to their shame. You might cover it and encourage them to repent. Whereas when somebody knowingly is continually trying to destroy many other people and actively, repeatedly doing it, it is time to expose that one for the sake of the nations. So there is good judgment there. There has to be wisdom implemented. And there's also time where it's not wise to get involved. I remember I was walking home one night and there appeared to be two drunk people and they were fighting, and the woman was screaming and shouting and the man was sort of talking back to her, and he kind of pressed her to the wall or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I was moved to ask what was going on because I didn't want the woman to be hurt by the man, and she went for me. I really wasn't expecting her, but she went wildcat on me and just went straight for me and started shouting at me. And all I was doing was checking, was she okay? So obviously there's a time to get involved and a time not to. And so this was obviously a dynamic that they were involved in that was an unhealthy interaction. It was a toxic relationship they were involved in, but she had learned to manipulate in that situation. Do you know what I mean? It's like they enjoy each other's abuse. They get drunk and have the argument. So it's an addictive, toxic environment for them. But, whoa, will she defend him, like, even though he's pressed her up against the wall? So there's a time for getting involved, or, you know, you have to read the situation and seek the counsel of the Lord in many cases. Just read the situation. So there's a time when it's wise to get involved, there's a time when it's wise to step back. It's, you know, and you'll be able to read it with wisdom, with the counsel of wisdom. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. Man shall be satisfied with good fruit by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. Look at this earth and that he that tilleth his land. So we get snared by, and shall be satisfied with good fruit by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. It's like what goes around comes around. You know, you reap what you sow. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. He that listens, the wise man loves correction. It's the same, it's just rephrased. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. That's what I was talking about there. The shame, like, you know, somebody who got drunk, and like a lady, maybe she's drunk, she's on the side of the street there and she looks in a compromised position. You might aid her, you might cover her, because she's in a vulnerable position there. Her situation could escalate, it could get worse. So you would attempt to protect her, to guard her, to ask her who she is, where does she live, who does she know, can I ring somebody for you? Can I cover you? Here's my jacket, you know, whatever. That kind of stuff. That's wise in that situation. But when the woman is pinned to the wall, you've got to put your feeler out in that situation. So in many cases, it's just good to make your presence known, maybe walk near and cough and see what the reaction is. Does she appeal to you? You know what I mean? You have to read a situation like that. Like, I didn't get much involved in that at all, but she went for me. Like, I didn't put a hand on anybody or anything. She just, like, I had to literally flee because she was coming at me like a wildcat. This is many years ago now. He that speaketh truth sheweth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counsellors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. Amen. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbour, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death. Let's look at those again. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counsellors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just. It's interesting. The deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil. The heart is wicked. It's deceitful above all else. And so somebody who's doing evil can often be deceiving themselves as to why they're doing what they're doing. They try to rationalize it. So that when you approach them to try and reason with them, to appeal to them that they should stop doing their evil, they think they have rational position not to listen to you or to oppose you. It's the nature of deceit. It's a stronghold. It's a strong tower. Deception is a strong tower. If you believe the deception, it has you captured as its servant. Now you're serving the lie. You're fighting for it, even though it's destroying you. And that's why Christians go out and expose the lie, so that the person can be improved or edified. And then therefore their actions change and they no longer do things evilly. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counsellors of peace is joy. So Jesus says that God loves a peacemaker, somebody who's always trying to mend something instead of constantly point out how it's broken. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked This is why our governments keep failing, because they only point out how there's a problem. They don't seem to talk about a solution or an initiative or an action, plan of action. Only the problem. Now, they do talk about plans of action. What I mean is not a plan of action that will actually resolve the problem on an ongoing basis and in perpetuity. And we do have those systems. It's not unrealistic. It is realistic to have systems and implement them that will prevent a lack of housing in the future and a lack of farms in the future. The building of infrastructure is not without the power of men. In other words, it's within the power of men to ensure that they have enough houses. So if they don't have enough houses, something has gone wrong at leadership level. Somebody's not distributing the wealth rightly. They're withholding it. They're not scattering it so that gain occurs. They're withholding it so that deficit occurs. Because they haven't invested it at the right time to see the growth occur, which prevents the deficit. And this has to continue ahead of time. You have to have houses before you move into them. You have to plant spuds before you need to eat them. So these things have to happen in advance. So it has to be ongoing. Yeah? So if there's any ebb in that process, you're going to see deficit. So it has to be ongoing. So the systems therefore that support the building of infrastructure have to be continuous. So it should be an ongoing plan of action, an ongoing system that's continually fed, like your body feeds your heart pumps the blood around your body. You need to pump the money around the systems, and enough so that they retain their value, so that they grow at the right time, etc., etc. And it's not that the men at governmental level don't know this, it's that they won't do it. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil. Yeah, we read that. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord. They're nothing to do with him. That's abominable, lying lips. But he can forgive that through Jesus. But they that deal truly are his delight. He delights in honesty and truth. He loves truth. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. So the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. So if you're diligent and working well and paying attention and leading your household well, you'll even get to the position of rulership, because your good traits will be identified. And the advantages of putting you at leadership level will be identified. At least in the ideal now, where Satan isn't in the mix trying to prevent well-functioning systems with men. But the slothful, the lazy, shall be under tribute. And that's like in servitude to the aforementioned, the diligent. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. This is why it's so important to encourage your fellow man. Not to flatter him unrealistically or lead him to delusion, to become delusional about his actual abilities, but to encourage him rightly. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbour, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death. So I'll leave it there at chapter 13 and maybe get back to it at a later stage. Hope this has helped. It's always good to read from the book of Proverbs and to remind ourselves that it's not really very difficult to implement wisdom in the systems of men to avoid calamity and to avoid harm accumulating. It's not that difficult. It's not easy, but in principle it's simple. It's not easy to do. It takes work. But in principle it's simple. So, blessings in Jesus' name. Have a lovely night. Good night. Holy kiss. Blessings.